Hey everyone, this is your host that's kind of between the coast, Andrew Rochford of the Rochford Files on YouTube, Twitch, and other platforms. As you'll know, and don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe, and support the show on other platforms. And check out the link tree in the description below. But I thought that this clip of a recent on-air interview involving Julian Assange's wife, Stella Morris, and a ghoul by the name of John Bolton, as they were both on a interview with Piers Morgan, was a very relevant clip to react to, given that tomorrow is the Hands Off Free Assange rallies that are taking place in 4 different cities in the United States, including the big one in Washington, D.C., with other events in Tulsa, Seattle, and right here in Denver, which, by the way, I will be providing a live stream of on the ground tomorrow afternoon. But before we show more details on that, I think it's important to continue on by reacting to this clip. And we'll start off at this point right here.
At risk.
Okay. Ambassador Bolton, thank you very much for joining me, first of all. Why is America so intent on bringing Julian Assange to unbelievably draconian justice of 175 years, i.e. the rest of his life in prison?
Well, I think that's a small amount of the sentence he actually deserves. He's committed clear criminal activity. He's no more a journalist than the chair I'm sitting on. The information that he divulged did, in fact, put many people in jeopardy. It undercut the ability of the United States to have confidential diplomatic communications.
First off, let's debunk this bullshit talking point that John Bolton brings out first, saying that Julian Assange was not an actual journalist when he was a better journalist than other publications that you're going to notice him reference later on in the interview.
Not just with other foreign governments, but in many countries with dissidents, people who, even speaking to American diplomats, could find themselves in trouble. And so, he's been complaining about his treatment over the past period of time. He's the one who sought asylum in the Ecuadorian embassy. Now he faces extradition to the United States. I presume he will get due process in the United Kingdom to determine whether extradition should go forward. And when he gets to the United States, he'll get due process here. And I hope he gets at least 176 years in jail.
Fuck you, John Bolton. This is one heartless ghoul and absolutely one of the most problematic enablers of war crimes that we have in the United States. So if there's a reason why someone is upset with the work that Julian Assange has done, it's because it has exposed the war crimes which motherfuckers like John Bolton have been complicit with for years and years and years.
Jail for what he did.
Stella?
Well, of course, Ambassador Bolton is kind of the ideological nemesis of Julian. He has, during his time for the Bush administration and later the Trump administration, sought to undermine the international legal system and ensure that the U.S. is not under the International Criminal Court's jurisdiction. And if it was, Mr. Bolton might, in fact, be prosecuted under the ICC. He was one of the chief cheerleaders of the Iraq War, which Julian then exposed through these leaks. So he has a conflict of interest here.
Ambassador Bolton?
And there you have it, the big moment where John Bolton gets called the fuck out. And you can tell that someone like him is in a position of comfort and privilege, because if international law really went in on the United States in the same way that they're reaching on Julian Assange, there'd be way more of the John Bolton types in jails all over the world, in prisons all over the world, than there would be for someone like Julian Assange, who just revealed all the problematic war crimes that the United States has been engaging in.
Well, that's ridiculous. I have an opinion. So does this.
What's ridiculous is how much of a shriek that was, because what he knows, he can't really debunk what Stella Morris just said.
Assange's wife. I guess we both get to speak them. I think that what she fears is being brought to the United States and having Assange put under trial. If he's innocent, if she can at least show reasonable doubt that he's not guilty, he'll go free. What's she worried about?
What? This is just like the type of bullshit arguments that you hear saying that the court system works as it's supposed to, when we know for a fact that absolutely does not, and it's an unequal and unjust system. So for someone like him in a place of privilege to argue that these systems work the way as they are meant to be is of the utmost privilege. We know that in the UK, that he is not getting a fair trial there, and the moment that he gets pulled to the United States, it will get even less unfair for Julian Assange. And one of the people responsible for these conditions, Priti Patel, has stepped down, so that's an argument of why things should be rolled back on where it currently is at for Julian Assange, as people like John Bolton want to bring him to the United States, and where he clearly won't have a fair trial, which would try to ensure that he would get all the rest of his living life in a U.S. prison.
I guess what she's worried about is a fair trial, because it's pretty clear what the attitude towards him is.
Well, let her say that's fine. Let her say Julian Assange cannot get a fair trial in America. Let her say it.
Okay.
Well, he cannot get a fair trial in America because he is being prosecuted under the Espionage Act, and he cannot bring a public interest defense. He cannot say, I published this information because it was in the public interest, precisely because it is under the Espionage Act, and it is the first time that a publisher has ever been prosecuted under this act, something that constitutional lawyers in the United States have been warning could happen for the past 50 years. And the New York Times and the Washington Post say this prosecution strikes at the heart of the First Amendment.
Ambassador Bolton.
Well, I think they are badly wrong on that. He's in effect a hacker and a person who breaks and enters into secure information.
Not even the U.S.
He's prosecuted under the. Let me finish now. The fact he's prosecuted under the Espionage Act is something that's been part of American law for many, many years. Plenty of other people have been prosecuted under it. And that goes directly to the issue of whether a country can protect classified information. There's absolutely no doubt about it. And I would say to the esteemed editors of the Washington Post and the New York Times, when you try and equate yourself with Julian Assange, you're making a very dangerous gesture, because while you're saying the First Amendment should apply to him, a different kind of legal system could move it in the opposite direction and put you under prosecution as well. It's a very dangerous position to take, and an inaccurate one. They're doing two completely different things.
Okay.
One,
if anything, if all those propagandists that you see throughout corporate TV and print media go along with your line of thinking, Mr. Bolton, they're the ones who are going to find themselves in a position that's more dangerous rather than on the side of a free press and true press freedom in this case of Julian Assange, as he tries to use a reverse logic which people who are trying to do real adversarial journalism can see right through. And we know that plenty of people who have been covering this closely over the past several years can see right through that argument as well.
Unsaid of them are publishing news. The other is damaging American national security.
Okay, Richard.
And that argument once also goes along the slope of if you let a government determine what is okay and what is not okay in terms of like the stuff that can be made public and the whole discourse, you're in this stage that we are at right now, where they can limit the discourse and discussion. And this is how they've effectively gotten it to the point where they've gotten people propagandized in such a dangerous way on so many issues, including this one right here.
I should be chumming a bit of getting ahead quickly. First of all, it's ridiculous that he's in Belmarsh prison, for heaven's sake. I mean, I just cannot understand that. As you said, it's the most high security. So that's absurd. But if this can't be resolved, and it sounds to me actually as though it may not, is there not a sort of international jurisdiction? Because there was actually international important issues here that do need resolving. And both sides have a very strong, robust argument. And I wonder whether it's almost like a test case internationally. It's really, really significant, really important, and it needs to be heard, I think, in order to get some...
Stella, before I let you go, how is he physically? Because he's been in ill health. He was isolated during COVID for many months, didn't see anybody, including you. How is he?
Well, he's suffering profoundly, and his health is declining by the day. He's a caged animal, and you can just imagine what that does to a person. He's far away from me and the kids. He only sees us once or twice a week. And there's no reason for him to be in a high security prison. And actually on Saturday, we were doing a human chain around the British Parliament to call for his release.
Stella, it's good to see you.
Yes, that right there, the human chain in the UK is definitely the most notable of the actions that are taking place all over the world on Saturday. But to continue on here with this whole chilling effect of journalism that this case will have. So you've got the free speech element and the journalism element both intertwined with this case, because as you can see, people like John Bolton and State Department ghouls are always going to twist those in their best interest and not in the interest of the people. And this is why a political prisoner case like Julian Assange is such an important cause to get behind, because of the fact that it's one that could drastically change the course of journalism in a way that it hasn't been changed yet, even if you already feel like the direction of journalism is already in a really shitty place outside of quality independent journalists who work outside of the corporate media that we have here in the United States. But let's show off some of the events that are taking place in the United States to close things out here. So this is where I'll be at tomorrow afternoon, 12 to 2 at the state capitol downtown, as I'll be providing a live stream of the Free Assange rally with speakers including Kyle Anzalone from antiwar.com and David Barsamian from Alternative Radio, along with, and this is probably going to be a pretty libertarian-centric crowd, but the important thing is the cause and not the people who make up the cause. And if there's as I say, if you feel like the makeup of the group isn't like getting behind like other political prisoners, those are opportunities to get people on board with them as well. As we can talk about Mumia Abu-Jamal, Leonard Peltier, a couple of the common other political prisoners. But those are opportunities if you feel like there's people who need to have a better understanding on those political prisoners to help them understand, because these are events where that could happen as well. Just like how Assange can connect to many of the other issues, these events can also be an opportunity to raise awareness on that too. As you can see, this is the human chain that will be taking place at the Parliament Square in London, 1 p.m. local time, which will be around 3 to 7 a.m., depending on where you are in the United States. And this right here is a list of the featured speakers for the Hands Off Assange in D.C. We got Reverend Annie Chambers, Ben Cohen, Chip Gibbons, Chris Hedges, Dan Cohen, Dave DeCamp, Eliza Blue, Esther Iverem, Garland Nixon, James Bovard, Jill Stein, John Kiriakou, Joe Loria, John Stasevich, Kevin Gostola, Marsha Coleman Adebayo, Randy Credico, Sabrina Salvati, Scott Ritter, and Steven Donzer. So that right there is and I'm not exactly sure the feature speakers at the Seattle or Tulsa events, but don't forget those are important to go to as well, as Seattle's takes place at Pike Place Market, and Tulsa's event will be taking place at Tulsa Hummerich Park. So if you're in the area or able to come out to one of those events, please do, or if you're not, try to boost awareness on those events, such as sharing the live streams of them to the platforms that you are on for social media and friends. Because even if you can't physically show up, the more awareness, if it can reach people it hasn't reached before, then that's the type of success that we need to look to have. But with that being said, if I don't make another clip today, see y'all tomorrow afternoon live at the state capitol downtown.